That's a great point. That, funny, I was in an interview earlier today, and the person was asking about how to be a go-giver and still reconcile that with being economically successful in your entrepreneurial business, and blah blah. And there was again the assumption that you and I have seen so many times,
right,
that being a go-giver means being nice and basically giving in to everybody else's demands.
Right, exactly.
And I had to make the point again that it's true in all the go-giver books, that applying those principles is never to imply weakness, naivete. We are not, when we expect the best, we're not being naive. My dad was one of the kindest, gentlest people I've ever known, and he always expected the best in people. It would be very easy for others to assume that he was naive, and many did, but he was tough as nails on the inside. He was really clear on what he would give on and what he wouldn't, where the boundaries were. So yes, being a go-giver in any situation.
Right, never... a go-giver simply meaning you're focused on providing value to others. There's nothing about that says that you're supposed to be a doormat or self-sacrificial or a martyr. Nothing.
Exactly.
But I think it's natural that somebody hears the term go-giver, especially if they haven't read any of the books, and think, well, you're just giving yourself away, and you're not. No, that's not it at all.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you.
Well, I was going to say that people say, well, can you be too nice? No, you can't be too nice. What they mean is, can you be taken advantage of for being nice? And my answer is, if you're nice and you find yourself being taken advantage of consistently, it's not because you're too nice. It's not because you're nice. It's because you're doing things in such a way that you're allowing yourself to be taken advantage of.
Yeah, and by the way, you're not being very nice to yourself.
Right, you're not exactly. So yeah.
I mean, you count too.
Let me look. Hill, who by the way said that I did not pronounce the name correctly, so you may have to write that phonetically for me in here. But wrote creation of win-win plus win situations. Everybody happy? Absolutely. Everyone should come away ahead in any exchange between one or between, well, it could be between two or more people. We should always be advancing life, for as well as Waddles called it, advancing life for everyone. Sure, I love that.
I'll say a quick word on that. One of the things that Bob and I like to do, that we like to do in our stories, and we did it certainly in The Influencer, is that at the end, there's a dilemma, there's a challenge, a problem, and in the end, there's a solution that they arrive at, which is something that nobody saw coming. It's different. And to me, that is often the key to the win-win plus win, which your friend mentioned, which is, it isn't an either or. It is, if we take a step back and open ourselves to possibility here, there's often a new solution that nobody saw coming, which actually produces a more positive outcome for everybody involved. The reason we do that in stories is that happens in real life. It happens all the time. It's not, Pollyanna. It's real. It's creativity. It's human ingenuity.
Yeah. In fact, when after the Go-Giver came out, when we wrote Go-Givers Sell More, which is sort of an application of the 5 laws, how many stories did we include of people who either utilized one or more of the 5 laws after reading the book, or more than that, we're always doing it. You take in Arlen Sorensen,
right,
formerly of HTG and of the I'm trying to think of the name of the peer groups. Here is a guy, and first, this is a majorly successful human being, financially as well as in all other ways. Wow, the lives he has touched and the people he's put together and the things he has done. He is the walking embodiment. And I love, there's certain people that's not a walking embodiment of a go-giver is not something that's just 1 or 2 people. There's many people who do embody that, and he happens to be one of them. Yeah. But here's a guy who just, and we included his story in the book. But I did a program for one of his groups actually a while back, and all they could talk about is what an amazing mentor he has been.
Yeah.
And he's created mentors upon mentors upon mentors, and he's got all these people throughout the world working together to help build each other's business and create a bigger pie for everyone.
And I just want to amplify what you're saying about Arlen, in that, when we talk about the kinds of things that Arlen has done with people and his colleagues have done and his cohorts have done, it's not just by being nice. I mean, often in these situations, they're dealing with IT groups and with very technical situations. And often there's actually, a lot of technical knowledge and intricate ingenuity being applied in arriving at solutions. And it kind of goes back to framing for me, is that one of the goals of positive framing isn't just to have a nicer conversation, isn't just to avoid getting in an argument. It isn't just to make it pleasant. It is that when you create a positive frame in a potentially negative situation, right, that could turn into a pitched battle, when you create a positive frame, you also unleash powers of creativity. You unleash the possibility of solutions that neither one saw. I mean, here I am at the desk, and this guy is saying there's no room ready, and I need a room. I don't see a solution, but you know what? There's a solution. There will be a solution. I can't know what it is yet, but I do know that if I create a positive frame, it's going to open rather than close. You can have a closing or an opening. And if you open that conversation up, in 30, 40, 80, 90 seconds, that desk clerk is going to say, I think we got a cancellation over here, or whatever the solution is. It comes up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think of a person who years before Kathy Tajanel, wonderful business partner, friend, she was trying to get me to go to a Mac, okay? And I was on a PC. And I'm not saying anything bad about PC. I'm just saying that they tend to need a lot of maintenance. And like a lot. Like a huge amount. Like,
how much, Bob?
And so I kept this guy employed, let's say, who just his business was basically fixing PCs. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he was over every week fixing mine. I mean, it was really, and he used to, and this goes back to framing. I would ask him to fix something or do something. And his default response, and he was, by the way, a great guy, but his default response was always, no, this can't be done. That was just his default response. Yeah. And I remember at first I would buy into that frame, and I was nervous about paying, because it was usually at a time I had to get in. I'd say, no, come on, you can do it. You've done this before. And we go back, no, it can't be done. Yeah, right. I finally caught myself. I realized I'm buying into the frame of, yes, which it was his default mechanism, which kind of a computer term, I guess, which is that it can't be done at first. But here's what he did. He was actually quite a brilliant guy and a fantastic technician. His initial response was it can't be done, but that was his way of giving himself time to kind of figure it out, because he always came through and saved my vegetarian vegan bacon many times. So what I realized was, when he does that, just let him go, let him have that.
Let him go.
And when I'd say, here's what's broken, can you ready? No, that can't be done. And okay, I just kind of waited, and I could, the wheels were turning, but here's what I could do, right? And so when we have people in our lives who have a certain default mode, and we all have them, by the way, just some are different than others. Some people go into panic mode. Some people go into no, it can't be done mode. Some people go into anger mode. Some people go into helpless mode. Some people go into understand where it is and what they're doing. I had another person who, when giving advice, and it's when it was proper to give advice, this person would usually respond with, I don't think I'd feel comfortable doing that. And it would frustrate me because, she had asked me for advice and I had suggested, and then she'd say no. So what I realized was, again, that was just her default mode. And so what I'd start doing is, when I'd give her a piece of advice, I'd immediately follow that with, but you know what, just kind of think about it and let that kind of, germinate in your mind a while. Don't take action on it yet. Just kind of play it out in your mind a little bit and see what you come up with.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then she would, after a while, do it if it was appropriate to do. Sometimes she wouldn't, but sometimes she would, and it worked out. But then it was kind of her doing it on her terms, and which is how it should be anyway.
I love in the first instance, in your first example of your PC guy, that was a great example of setting a totally different frame by saying nothing.
Ah, right.
I mean, and sometimes that's an exceptional thing, to just say nothing, and just be present. Just
be present.
Listen and just say, not in a threatening way, like, But that's exceptional because you stopped, you kind of let the action.